Will President John Dramani Mahama leave the Western Alliance to join Russia? Now, at the end of this video, you will actually get the true fact that President Mahama has hinted that he's going to leave Western Alliance to join Russia and the Brics nation. Now, we have two main economic power organization in this world. That is the G7 nations and then the Brics nation. Now, the G7 nation are the United States, United Kingdom, Italy, France, Germany. Yes, those are the countries that form, and Canada as well. Those are the countries that form the G7 nation. There are countries that are not part of the G7 nation, but they align with various countries in those G7 organization. Now, apart from G7, we have another organization that's called Brics. Brics include Brazil, Russia, China, India, South Africa, United Arab Emirates, Iran, Egypt, and Ethiopia. Now, those countries also form another organization that control economic power in the world. We have countries like Ghana and Nigeria, other countries that do not belong to any of those organizations, but they are aligned with them in terms of ideology, or they allow those countries to control them. Now, when it comes to Africa, we were being colonized by various countries in the Western world. Now, like countries like Ghana and Nigeria, we've been colonized by England. A lot of countries in Africa were also colonized by France. Now, England and France belongs to the G7 nation. So, although Ghana and all those other countries in Africa do not belong to any of these organizations, we mostly align with one of them. Now, why is it showing that President Mahama is likely to leave the G7 nation, the Western Alliance, to join the Brics nation? Something happened on the 7th of January 2025 when President John Dramani Mahama was sworn in as President of the Republic of Ghana. Now, President Mahama is a former president. He served in government from the year 2013 to 2016 in Ghana. He was voted out and he was voted back in power again. Now, something happened on that day. This is also and so. My name is Xavier. Now, in the inaugural speech of President John Dramani Mahama on the 7th of January, he hints on that. He made mention of the GDP of the G7 nation and the GDP of the Brics nation. Now, he said that the world is not in normal time. And so, let's watch this video and I will give you a more breakdown.
As I begin this presidency, it's not the same world in which we have lived under other presidencies. There are tensions and conflicts that have not previously existed between nations. These tensions and conflicts place pressure on alliances to decide where we will support. There's a seismic shift happening within the system of global economic dominance. Whereas the G7 nations, United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan once provided the highest percentage of the world's GDP, over the last decade, that number has been steadily dropping. However, the combined total of the GDP of the Brics nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, UAE, their GDP has been consistently increasing. In 2023, for instance, the G7's combined total of world GDP was 30%. But by 2029, that number is predicted to drop to 27%. In 2023, the Brics percentage of world GDP was 37.3%. And so what does this mean to us in Ghana?
He left it wide open. He did not say that we are going to join the Brics nations straightforward, but he just gave you the figures that this is the G7 nation. Their GDP kept going down, kept dropping. And in the year 2023, the G7 nation GDP combined contributes to 30% of the world GDP. Now, that figure is expected to drop to 27% in the year 2029. Whereas in the BRICS nation, their GDP in 2023 was 37%, and it's going to increase. So over the years, the GDP of the G7 nation have been dropping. That's the Western nation, the US, England, Germany, France, UK, Canada. They've been dropping, and the BRICS nation kept increasing. So he gave a figure for the term that the period that he's going to be president, that this nation will be increasing, and this nation kept dropping. He did not say that we are going to join these or we are leaving these people. Now, remember, Ghana is not part of the G7, neither is it part of the BRIC nation. But because of our former colonial masters, or the country that colonized Ghana is the UK, and they belong to the G7 nation, we align to them. You see that a lot of the Francophone countries as well in Africa align towards France, and so they are part of the G7 alignment. Now, something also significant on that day was the coming of the president of the Republic of Burkina Faso. Now, Ibrahim Traore was in Ghana, sparked a lot of news. Now, a lot of people were saying, why was he allowed to bring gun and then bringing his personal security? Those are things that President Mahama is okay with. Now, about the G7 nation, why is this happening? The G7 nation GDP kept dropping because nations in the G7 7 itself have their GDP going down, including a country like France. Why? Every country in Africa that were colonized by France, their former colonies keep sending them money every year. Now, citizens of those countries are not happy, and now it has made the military step in countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. We have coup d'etat in those countries, sending the civilian government away. Now the military are in charge of those countries, and they've cut ties with France, moving their military base away from their country. We have French military base in those countries. Now, after the military took over those countries, they sacked them away. So that is affecting the economy of France, and now in a larger scale affecting the GDP of the G7 nation. Now, France is making every move for those countries to come back to democratic government so that they can have influence on those countries, right? Now, countries like Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso that have military government, they have an alliance called the Sahel. The Burkina Faso president Ibrahim Traore only traveled within those nations because when he goes out of those countries, it's likely that the West, that is the G7 nation, like US, France, they can attack them or they can arrest them. So he only traveled outside the Sahel nation once, to Russia, a BRICS nation, right? He went to Russia to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. So when President Mahama won the election, a statement was sent that they will be sending delegation to the inaugural ceremony, not the President Ibrahim Traore himself going there, right? Because before that, President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo's government, that's the previous government in Ghana and Burkina Faso, were not in good terms. Why? Because sometime back in the year 2023, the president of Ghana went on an invitation to the United States of America, and in a meeting with the security of the US, he made mention to Anthony Blinken that the nation of Ghana, they are worried of the Vladimir group, a military group in the southern part of Burkina Faso, that is the northern part of Ghana. So that is a security threat to the nation of Ghana. So it's like you are going to report your neighbor to the US. Now, Burkina Faso was not happy with that statement. They were not happy at all. It took Nana Addo Akufo-Addo to send a delegation to Burkina Faso to go and apologize to them. But even after the apology, they were not happy with that statement. Former President John Dramani Mahama, during his campaign, made mention of that. Let's watch this video.
We know what is happening in Burkina Faso. Indeed, we should be working closer with our comrades in Burkina Faso. Unfortunately, this government has created some tension between us, and Burkina Faso, because our president went and opened his mouth too wide. You saw the video. He went and was doing concern about your neighbor. We all are here. We are suffering. America call you small, and you are so excited, and then your neighbor, you are doing concern about him. And so it has created some diplomatic tension. He went there, went and apologized, but still, it's not the best. So when government changes, we have to go and talk to our neighbors, because we must work together. Indeed, the whole anti-terrorism strategy of this sub-region was done in Accra. It's called the Accra Initiative. And so we are the hosts of that initiative. So we must be reaching out to them and seeing how we can collaborate with them in order that we quench the fire in their houses. Because if there's fire in your neighbor's house, you don't help him to put it off, it will spread to your house. And so I think that we must improve our relationship with Burkina Faso. At the same time, we must also strengthen our surveillance and security, so that in case it comes into our borders, we are able to deal with it.
You see, this is somebody that Burkina Faso will be happy to work with, or will be happy to have as their neighbor, right? Burkina Faso, as we said earlier, they are a country that is now in alignment with Russia, a Brics nation. And whenever that there's a military coup d'etat in those countries, you see the citizen waving the flag of their country and then the flag of Russia. That should tell you everything clear, that Russia has a hand in those activities. Now, they are not happy with the previous government of Ghana, but hearing this statement for President John Dramani Mahama, he's okay with Burkina Faso and anything that is happening to them. According to him, they are just neighbors, they are brothers and sisters. So why should you go and say their matter, or go and report the gossip about them? That is kukonsa in English, gossip about them to other nations. So John Dramani Mahama is okay with Burkina Faso and anything that is happening over there. He doesn't have any problem with it, and they also don't have any problem with Ghana as well. So they are happy. Now, is it likely that President John Dramani Mahama will leave the Western Alliance and go and join the BRICS? He just left that question open. But hearing from this, and then watching Ibrahim Traore coming to Ghana, as I said, he just sent a statement that they'll be sending delegation to Ghana. All of a sudden that day, in presence of all the other African leaders, world leaders that were there, Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso, came in with his military team, his own security team. He was in a military uniform, have his own gun by his side. A lot of people have a lot of things to say about that, but he came. The president was okay. And even after that, he went and meet President Mahama in a private meeting, and they were very happy. A very hearty conversation that went on between them. And then he was even the one that had the loudest applaud at the Blaster Square. The citizens were happy about him. That is how neighbors are supposed to be. So Burkina Faso was not happy having a very lousy neighbor like Ghana because of the former president, but you can see that now they are okay to have Ghana as their neighbor. But President Mahama in his statement stated clearly that he is coming to work with his neighbors. It doesn't matter who they are. Let's listen to this.
Where do we fit in this geopolitical maelstrom? Technology such as artificial intelligence has taken us to new heights, opening up the potential for national, financial, and personal security issues that we are not yet able to imagine. One example is the use of misinformation and algorithm manipulations on social media platforms to sway a particular group's sentiments towards or away from something. Now more than ever before, we need to strengthen our ties with our neighbors to ensure that we're working together to keep our sub-region safe. We stand in solidarity and work in alliance with all our neighbors in the sub-region. Recognizing the history of our borders, we also acknowledge that on the other side of our country's borders are our family members. They may be Ivorians, they may be Togolese, they may be Burkinabes, they may be Nigerians or Malians, but they are also Akans, they are Kasinas, they are Guans, they are Ewes, they are Nzemes, they are Hauses, they are Moshis and Gourmets, because we are all part of one another, one big family.
According to John Dramani Mahama, we are all one big family. Before he came there, he made mention of misinformation. Media was used to, paint the military government very bad. When the coup d'etat happened in Burkina Faso, Mali, the Western media were doing everything possible to make them look very bad, like they were killing a lot of people and all those things. So misinformation, he stated that clearly. But we must move beyond the misinformation to really get the actual fact that is that what is really happening. Now, after tackling the misinformation, now he went to say that altogether, they as African leaders, and we have about 21 of them over there, and then others also send their delegation. We have to work together because we are one big family. So it doesn't matter that Burkina Faso, Mali, and having military leaders, and then they are now allowing Russia to influence them. Whether Russia influence them or France influence them, it is their own will. As far as they are happy, we are also happy. So there's no need of attacking them that, okay, you need to leave our government because our body, because you are not in alignment with the Brics nation. So you must, also get this fact right, that President Mahama is somebody that, believe in a social democracy and, in a way aligned with the Soviet Union. He's somebody that had his education in Russia, and when he wrote his first book, My First Coup d'etat, he went to launch it in the Russian language in Russia. Run up to the 2024 election, he was actually in Russia working, trying to do the translation of his book to the Russian language. That should tell you somebody who is fan of them already. And then in his inaugural speech, stating it clearly, the GDP, putting it hand to hand. You don't, this is his inaugural speech, and as president, you don't just bring any issue on board, whether you make an emphatic statement on it or not. You don't just bring it anything into your statement. So, although he just left it like that, what does that mean to our country? He just leave it open like that. But you must, he's a smart politician. You need to be smart to get him that. Why, in the name of God, in your inaugural speech, did you put a GDP of G7 nation and Brics nation, 2024 GDP of the two countries, and then the approximate GDP in 2029? You just put it there. For what reason? And you stated that this one kept dropping and this one kept increasing. Are we going to join the winning team? Of course, everybody wants to join the winning team. And so, you heard it from the horse's own mouth. You need to do your own calculation. But for us here at so and so, we think that it is good to join the winning team. And so when the GDP of the G7 nation are going down and then the Brics nation are going up, why being with the G7 nation? For what? It's straight. The one that works for you better, you bargain and you go into the business with them. They are not our fathers. We are just an ally. And the fact that we are in alignment with the G7 nation or the West nation does not mean that we cannot do business with the others as well. Because all this year that Ghana has been in alignment with the Western nation, the G7 nation, we still do business with China. We still do business with Russia, with Brazil. All right. So now when we face towards the Brics nation, we can still continue to do business with the other people. There's nothing wrong. It's a free world. And it doesn't mean that when you align with this person, then you are an enemy of the others. If there's a war between Russia and America, is there a war? We are neutral. We have our own body. We have ECOWAS. We have African Union that they are not respecting anyway. So we have it right there. This is also and so. We will bring you more facts in our next episode. Please subscribe to our channel. My name is Xavier. So and so. We are out.